I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, February the 28th. Can't believe February's already gone. Brought to you in part by Witex Corporation, providing excellence in animal health, including but not limited to all-American identification tags for all classes of livestock. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards. Beaver County Stockyards is going to have about 3,000 head for the regular Tuesday sale here today on Tuesday. Talked to Lane Conkle there. He said 12 to 1,500 calves. About 80% of those will be weaned. Most of them pretty good quality, good enough to go anywhere. 10 load lots of big steers for sure, and 7 or 8 loads of 6 to 7 weight yearling heifers, including, and those would be 2 loads of sourced and aged replacement quality heifers that were meant to be replacements. Guys, if you're interested in some, get on to dvauction.com and check out Beaver County Stockyards. Tighter beef production, also going to give you the Punchy pick winners for this week, or this last month, excuse me. But tighter beef production, and it was bound to happen. We've been setting records for beef production, and now everything's getting so high, and your packers are short bought, and we're on really tight supplies and market-ready supplies. So we've seen them pull back a little bit, maybe not as much over the last few months as what we thought they would pull back, but now all of a sudden, but they're just absolutely so short bought that they can't hardly pull off a full schedule. Also, we've been having some slowdowns because of really bad wintry weather, worse than we've had the last few years. It's just caused our beef production, because weights are down and numbers of harvested cattle are down. Last week we fell below the 5-year average for that week on beef production. So it was bound to happen. It's going to make the supplies tighter in your packers' coffers, which is likely going to enable them to raise prices on the retailers, on the food service people and the like. And so I imagine they're going to have to raise prices on the consumers, and that's probably going to hurt everybody in the long run. But it's just a natural thing whenever prices get higher, and you can't blame your packers for passing on the higher prices of beef after having to pay higher prices on cattle. But they've been doing both here ever since the COVID. They've been enjoying really record prices for beef and having plenty of supply to choose from. Now they're just having to do that under tighter supplies. But we're still in the infancy of a bull market, guys, and you need to understand that. Normally, when we'd have our normal cyclical type deal, as soon as it started getting good, you needed to start bracing yourself for it to fall out of bed or get bad again. I think we're going to be able to enjoy it a little bit more, and I don't even think we've started to see how good this thing can get as we go forward. As tight as supplies have been over the last few months here, we get to the latter part of this calendar year, supplies are going to be tighter yet, and then we're going to be probably more depleted in our supplies in the freezer, your packer supplies in the freezer. So they're really going to be hand to mouth then, and I think this market could really get crazy good as if it's not right now. But these packers are going to have to get used to these few negotiated sellers that have kind of figured the deal out again. It's been 12, 15 years since we've seen negotiated trade like we've seen it here the last several weeks. They're holding them back until Friday night. Didn't sell anything at all last week in the Southern Plains. You think that doesn't have them short bought in the Southern Plains? Yeah, it's mostly corporate feeders in the Southern Plains. Yes, all of them have got a sweetheart deal, and your packers can pull on them. But if they pull them early, then it's going to just make them that much tighter later. But no significant trade at all in Texas or Kansas last week. I felt sure that after we saw the 164.5 on your Fed Cattle Exchange happen on Friday, I thought maybe after hours they would come in with several guys falling for that. But like I've told you here of late quite a bit, there's not that many guys that are selling negotiated cash. That's been by design. Your packers didn't want people selling negotiated cash. They were glad to give people, even with all Mexican cattle, even with plain commodity cattle, they were glad to give them a buck over the market that they established in negotiated trade to sell all their cattle that way to them. Well, so that's happened. So that a lot of guys fell for that. So there's very few guys selling negotiated cash. It's easier to get the heads together of just a few guys. Let's say there's 4 guys in Texas selling cattle negotiated cash. Yes, consolidated beef producers might be doing several customers, several feedlots, but still mainly one guy doing the trading. Not too hard for him to get together with some of the other guys that are doing that too, and they are staying to their guns, guys. They are staying dug in. And I can't believe that they didn't sell the cattle last week, but they didn't. So guess what? This week they are sitting pretty. I'm sure there was some cattle feeders that sell with them that think, hey now guys, I kind of would have liked to got rid of them, but the pens are dry. Other than the 40, 50, 60, 114 mile an hour winds that they recorded near Memphis, Texas on Monday night. For other than the wind, the weather's good. Cattle are feeding fine, and most everybody's in a green condition as far as their show list. So why not hold them back? They don't have to sell cattle every week. I guess the packers don't have to buy cattle every week. They don't have to sell cattle every week. Packers are going to be extremely, extremely tight and short bought in the southern plains. And I don't know what they'll ask for them. They might ask them $1.70 this week, and they might get it. Let's see what happens. But I wanted to spend some time here on the first part of this report telling you about the winners of this month's Punchy Pick. So I can't tell you how tickled I am about so many people sending in picks for the Punchy Pick contest. I think a lot of it has to do because it's a pretty good prize package there. You're going to get swag from Beaver County Stockyards, and they got some cool stuff. Beaver Feed's got some cool stuff, but for the most part it's Fair Piece. They're going to give you a case of Fair Piece. Retail value of that is $1,440, and I continue to have testimonials about how good that product is. Seems everybody I know that uses it just loves it. The last one to tell me that was my buddy I told you about a while back. I had the picture of him and his daughter on there, and he was telling me that he used it on his cattle that he backgrounds within the city limits of Miami, Florida. He said this is one of the calmest bunches of cattle I've straightened up of late. So it's unbelievable. So you'll want to get in on that Fair Piece, but you can win the Punchy Pick of the Month contest, and you'll get a case of it you can use it on. But if you guys are interested in more stuff on the Fair Piece, go to Feraah, FERAAH.com. But here's your winners. We'll give you the top 3. The second runner-up comes in. It's Jack's grandpa that sent this in. This is a picture of Jack riding his first steer. He's 10 years old. And he did not, thank goodness he did not make the buzzer on this. Hopefully it could save Jack's grandpa a lot of money and then the whole family a lot of grief if he didn't ride that first one. But the heck of it is, Jack's grandpa says that he thought it was fantastic and he loved it. So, oh no, get the rig and bag and you're in for about 10 or 15 years of rough times there. But congratulations to Jack for coming in second runner-up, riding his first steer. The runner-up winner is Y4 Ranch in central Minnesota. Now look at this picture. Is that not punchy cool right there? They're feeding hay off of a third-generation hay sled up in Minnesota. -15 degrees that day. and just pretty neat to see that. And check out the little boy in the middle. He's got a plastic rake. If you didn't notice that, I didn't notice that the first couple of times I looked at that picture. But congratulations to the Y4 Ranch there in central Minnesota. But the winner of this month's Punchy Pick of the Month is Perry Williams out of Sneed, Alabama. He's a backgrounder there. He's figured things out. If you're in the southeast, you got to keep them light calves local. He buys them little 2 and 3 weight calves there. Keeps them local. They're a lot easier to straighten up there, staying closer to home. And then he backgrounds them and sells them in load lots down the road. But he put this steer, he said, well, he's in the 6s there, put this steer in the chute, and he turned around to get whatever he was going to treat him with. I think he had some warts he was going to treat him with or something, and he said it happened in the blink of an eye. He looked up and saw the predicament that this steer got himself in, and he had to snap a quick picture. And if you look at that picture for a little bit, that steer is in a worse predicament than what you immediately see there. He's got both those front hooves up above his head and sticking out there, but he said he went ahead and treated him then. Whenever he opened the head gate, he fell back, and then he was, like a turtle turned upside down, but he opened the side gate and he flopped over and just got up and walked on like nothing ever happened. So no damage there to the steer, and all the prizes go to Perry Williams from Sneed, Alabama there. He said in his message that he starts his morning out every morning with a cup of coffee. He reads his Bible and he watches the feeder flash. That's pretty darn humbling for me. Let's talk about your board. To open the week on Monday, February live cattle futures down 20 cents at 165. April down 40 cents at 164.97. They were up earlier after we had the neutral friendly cattle on feed report. You'd have thought maybe we got a little more charge out of that, but 164.97 for your April close. Your back months were down 20 cents to up 20 cents, so really not doing anything to speak of. March feeder cattle up 10 cents at 189.17. April up 65, and I guess they got more of a charge out of the cattle on feed, but it was mostly because corn was cheaper again. Like we talked on our last visit, that's corn has all of a sudden decided to get darn near reasonable compared to what we've been living with there for the last year or so. But April up 65 cents at 194.22. Back months on feeder cattle were all up 67 cents to 135. And like I said, corn was cheaper. We lost almost 30 cents on your corn market last week to start out the week. This week down 7 1/4 cents. And March corn sitting at 642 3/4, guys. And and they're looking for it to continue. It lost some of its support lines technically, which is what kind of rules your grains this time of year when there's not a lot going on. But might fall a little bit more. If it gets down into that low $6 range, you might want to start buying a lot of it, guys, because that's where they say that you're going to find a lot more support there. But soybeans for March down 10 3/4 cents, 15.18 1/4. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region on a direct basis, 64,300 head in the 5-area, and that's just in the northern plains. Like I said, didn't sell nothing in the southern plains. That compares to 62,700 the previous week and 57,100 the same week a year ago. Live sales of steers and heifers last week in the 5-area ranged from 160 to 166. That's $3 to $4 higher. Weighted average on live steers 163.72. That was up $2.55. So good gains there, but it was not enough for the Southern Plains guys. They wanted 65, I guess, at least, which would have been great. They're going to ask for a lot more than that this week. Dress sales 258 to 263, $4 to $5 higher. Dress steers in your 5-area had a weighted average of 260.97. That was up $4.19. So good gains in your fed cattle arena on a negotiated basis. A lot of it was because we had guys that are getting just stubborn, and that's what makes good negotiation, guys. Especially when you know you got the leverage. When you know you got the leverage, use it. Nationwide, 81,100 head, and that's unbelievable when we had Texas and Kansas sell hardly nothing. Kansas sold 4,000 head for the week last week. Texas sold 1,900, and to get 81,100 nationwide, pretty decent movement actually. That compares to 76,600 the previous week and 68,300 the same week a year ago. Of the 81,100, about 24% of those were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. Packers are going to continue to want that. They may not use it. They may not be able to last that long. They may pull for them cattle earlier, but they're trying to get several cattle bunched up that they can get a hold of 2 to 4 weeks out. Would help them get back in control of this market, because they've basically lost all control of the market right now. But 81,100 negotiated nationwide. Negotiated grid 34,700. Forward contracts last week 28,000. Formula sweetheart deal, grabbing onto the coattails of the few negotiated sellers, 268,600 head. That's why we're in the predicament we're in, guys. Kind of like that steer of old Perry's. Talk about your box beef cutout values. They were up good to start the week. Choice cuts 288.34, up $1.06. Selects up 217 at 279 a quarter. Slaughter starting out the week much better than last week. If you remember, we had a disappointing Monday with President's Day, but this Monday 124,000 estimated. That was pretty darn good. Let's talk about feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index on DV auction, based on an 800-pound cash steer up through your middle 12 states, 183.70 was actually down 42 cents. So we didn't have very many stick-out premium type sales in the northern plains. Had one I'm going to tell you about for sure, or two, but not as many as last week, and just moderated just a little bit. But Night Latch Group can sell you LRPs. They can also sell you gross margin policies of the USDA livestock policies. They want you to hold on to your investment. That's where the Night Latch comes in. Hold on to your investments with gross margin policies. You can kind of manage the risk on your cattle and your corn at the same time. For more information, go to nightlatch.net. Talk about your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 8,200 head, same kind of run they had a week ago. Feeder steers steady to $2 higher. Feeder heifers $2 to $5 higher. Steer calves were mostly steady. Heifer calves $3 to $5 higher, and spots sharply higher. So it wasn't Oklahoma City's fault that your 7-day moving average was off a little bit, because they sold awfully well there. Had a good sale in Oklahoma City. Same with Joplin Regional Stockyards, 6,900 head there. Market there on all classes, steady to $5 higher. Good sale in Joplin. Your Zoetis stick-out sale of the day is Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota. DV auction customer there. You can view and bid their sales every week, and they have multiple sales through the day or through the week every week, and you can watch them all there on DV auction. 3,700 head at Sioux Falls Regional Livestock this week to start the week out on Monday. Was mostly steady to $4 higher. Had some outliers there, here and there, but look at your best tested weights on this automated market report through Cattle Market Central. You see 266 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 636 with a weighted average price of $209.56, and that's more than $8 higher than last week's bigger run. 333 head of 7-weight steers, average $755, weighted average price on them $193.90, over $4 higher. 697 head of 8-weight steers, averaged $849, weighted average price $184.42, $6 higher. And 326 head of steers in the 9-weight category, averaged $953, weighted average price on them $173.90, up a little over $2 compared to last week. Give you some individual quotes. How about McNabb's Mid-State Stockyards in Damascus, Arkansas? They sell 64 heifer calves, weighed 566 at $195. On the top side of fives there, guys, in Arkansas, bring $195. Couldn't order them, put a lot of wheels under them, and get them cheaper than anywhere else, guys. How about Bluegrass Stockyards in Lexington, Kentucky? We haven't been talking about them quite so much because it's been colder, and of course been very, very cold, and hadn't had those cattle don't have a lot of hair on them. That's just the way it's going to be. They get really, really popular, those loads of yearlings, whenever nobody else has any, and even in the northern plains you're going to be feeding in hot weather. But they're starting to get a little bit of fire under them now. Bluegrass Stockyards, Lexington, the flagship location there, sold 62 steers, weighed 822 pounds, bring 186.75. That's better than they bring anywhere else, guys. But your most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Mackerson, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota, was 83 steers, weighed 792 pounds at $197.25. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.